Yes, Mr. Speaker, I'm pleased to yield to the sponsor of this very important resolution, Mr. Minnick, 4 minutes.
Gentleman from Idaho is recognized for 4 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the chairman and ranking member for their leadership and for bringing this important issue to the floor. On May 16th, I delivered the commencement address to the 2009 graduates of the University of Idaho. During my speech, I challenged each of those college graduates to take up the cause of Mr. Liu Xiaobo, an intellectual and literary critic who has spent much of his adult life imprisoned or under house arrest by the Chinese authorities because he had the courage to speak and write that China should allow its citizens freedom of speech and urged that it should allow those citizens to select their government by free and open elections. Today, on the eve of the 60th anniversary of the People's Republic of China, Mr. Liu's trial is set to begin any day on charges which could lead him to be sentenced for up to 15 years in prison. Mr. Liu has been held since officials took him into custody on December 8, 2008, a day before the release of Charter 2008, a declaration he co-authored that calls for political reform, greater human rights, and an end to one-party rule in China. Mr. Liu was formally arrested on June 23, 2009 by the Beijing Public Security Bureau and charged with inciting subversion of state power. He has since been held under criminal detention while Chinese authorities continue to investigate his case. In the months after taking Mr. Liu into custody, officials kept Liu in residential surveillance under conditions that violated Chinese laws, including denying Mr. Liu access to counsel and keeping him at an undisclosed location beyond the legal time limit. I urge that the Chinese government, as a much-admired global power and important partner of my country on many issues important to the future of mankind, grant Mr. Liu a free and fair trial. It should be open to the public, including representatives of international news agencies, where the charges against him will be fairly decided by a judge free from political pressure and instructed to consider only the law and facts of the case. I further urge that Mr. Liu be allowed to be represented by qualified counsel of his own choosing, have the right to face and cross-examine his accusers, and present witnesses and evidence to prove his innocence. If he is allowed to do so, I anticipate he will be cleared of all charges and then urge that he be immediately set free and allowed to resume his peaceful pursuit of civil rights and a fully democratic government. Mr. Liu's leadership has been an inspiration to me and to an untold number of people in China and around the world for his courage to stand up for civil liberties and to demand that his great and proud nation allow free elections at all levels of its government. His courage embodies the emerging global consensus that all people should be allowed to speak freely and have the right to demand that their country be governed by a true representative democracy. By passing this resolution, the House of Representatives will be sending a strong message that the American people do not condone suppression of freedom of thought or expression. I thank my colleagues and ask for their support. I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman kneels back to balance his time. Gentlewoman from Florida.